Welcome to the 10 Gallon Head Sports Podcast.
What?
10-gallon head.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10 Gallon Head Sports Podcast. On today's interview, I have Tyler Johnson, assistant coach and offensive coordinator for the NCAA Division II Great Midwest Tiffin Dragons. And he will tell us a little bit about his story, but before we get into it, I'd like to thank Three Nails Clothing for sponsoring this podcast. Three Nails Clothing is a Christian fitness clothing company. They have men and women items and even just casual wearing clothes. The thing I love most about Three Nails is their mission. Because over 40 million people around the world are being human trafficked. 1 in 4 of those are children, and over 5 million are being trafficked for sex. Every sale on Three Nails clothing goes towards saving and restoring those of sex trafficking through Christ's love and the gospel. You can buy the products at threenailsclothing.com. In the description, I also have it, even if it's a bracelet or a hat, even to a hoodie, anything helps. You can also feel free to use my code 10LARA, that's digit 1 and digit 0, and LARA, 10LARA, for 10% off anything you buy. Thank you once again for Three Nails for sponsoring this podcast. I love your products and I love your mission. Next up is the best Christian drip ever, Seek Jesus. Seek Jesus is an online company that gives Christians the best and encouraging clothing. They have just released their heaven-made line of clothes, which you can pick up at seekjesus.co. I will also have a link in the description of this podcast. You can use my code 15LARA, that's digit 1 and digit 5, LARA, code 15LARA, and get 15% off anything you order. Now, without further ado, let's get to the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10 Gallon Head Sports Podcast. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have assistant coach and offensive coordinator for the Tiffin Dragons, Tyler Johns. Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Isaiah. I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm excited to be here.
Now, before we get into it, for the people listening, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I am currently the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and tight ends coach here at Tiffin University. I have been here for 4 seasons now. I've been blessed to be a part of an amazing staff, an amazing atmosphere here at Tiffin University. We work hard to develop strong relationships with our players and ultimately help develop these guys off the field every bit as much as we do on the field, and hope to continue bringing a championship product here to Tiffin University.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, now that off season is here, and I believe you guys ended with a 6-4 record regular season, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now that off season is here, what do you like doing on your free time?
Yeah, right now, obviously, we've got a little bit more time on our hands without the day-to-day grind of the season. So it allows us as coaches to dig into a lot more tape, kind of go back and study ourselves from the past year and really see where things went right, where things went wrong. It also gives us an opportunity to explore new ideas, to go out and network and make connections with other coaches and to pick their brains a little bit, and see if maybe there's some new things that we can add to our program, whether offensively, defensively, culturally, and also to just, see kind of how some other guys are doing it, right? And see where we can maybe take what works for someone else and apply it to our situation here at Tiffin, and to ultimately give our players the best experience that they possibly can have.
For sure. So you and your team, you guys went to the Crossroads Bowl, correct?
We did. Yeah, we were very fortunate to be selected to play in the Crossroads Bowl, which is a really well-run, bowl game over in Hobart, Indiana. They did a great job putting the event on for us. We were up there for 3 days, and tremendous food, great fellowship, and an opportunity for 2 programs to get to know each other. off the field a little bit too. And I think that was one of the coolest parts about it. I've got a ton of respect for Truman State and what they do with their program. That's a team that we've now played 3 times in the last 2 years, and they do a tremendous job out there. And to let our kids get around each other and spend some time together, and then ultimately go out and compete on the field. And everyone's trying to win when it's Saturday, right? And so it just all around was a really neat event, and a cool experience for our guys.
Yes, it did look neat. I was watching some highlights earlier. So, you were there at that game too. So, has it been like for coaching through the years? Because you've coached more teams than Tiffin, correct?
Yeah, I have. I started my coaching career at the junior college level. Spent a season at Iowa Western. Had a ton of success out there. Right, we were part of a tremendous program. Um, and truly a championship culture there, and had a lot of success. And then was able to start my break into the 4-year level as a grad assistant at the University of Illinois. Was able to spend 3 years there at the University of Illinois, learning from a lot of different people. We were part of 3 staffs in 3 years there, and that certainly will present its challenges. But I think the more important thing is to look at the positives that come out of that. It gave me an opportunity to learn from 3 different offensive line coaches, 2 different tight ends coaches, right, and to really expand my knowledge of the game, and just see different ways that people were approaching the same problem, right. And at the end of the day, we're all trying to kind of solve that puzzle, right? What it takes to win. And it's always neat for me to get to experience and be around different thoughts of approaching the same problem. And so really enjoyed my time there, and then started my full-time career at Ohio Dominican University. That is where I first linked up with our head coach here at Tiffin University, Chris Reisert. And Chris and I have been together for I think 7 years now, and we've built a very strong relationship over that time. And I'm certainly thankful to him for all the things that he's provided me and my family, and the opportunity to join him here at Tiffin.
That's amazing, man. Well, you've been in like the coaching business for a while, from what I've heard you just say right now. But did you get any inspiration? Because I'm from Philly, and you told me you played in Philly from 2009 to 2012. Did you get any inspiration from the coach there?
Yeah, definitely, man. I did. I played at the University of Findlay from 2009 to 2012. In my 4-year career there, I played for the same offensive line coach. Corey Allen is now the head coach there at the University of Findlay, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. He very, very much influenced me ultimately becoming a coach. It was. I'm not necessarily one of the guys that knew I was going to be a coach from the time I was 5 years old or anything like that. I actually went to college to be a strength and conditioning coach. I knew that I wanted to stay involved in football, and I actually thought the weight room was going to be my avenue to do that. And certainly Coach Allen played a big impact in me ultimately making that transition, and deciding to go to the football side of things. I'm very thankful for that. Obviously, he and I are still very close. It's been really neat for me over the last 6 years now to get to compete against him every year. And hey, you win some, you lose some, and I think that just has further strengthened our relationship, and that genuine happiness that comes from seeing somebody you care about have success, right? And so those games are always bittersweet, right?
What positions did you play while you were at Finley?
Yeah, so I played on the offensive line. I started my career at left tackle for a couple weeks, and then made the switch over to the right side, and ended up playing right tackle for the duration of my career there.
Interesting. So you played college ball? I mean, you played high school ball. Excuse me.
Yeah, I did. I played high school ball at Waynesfield Goshen, which is a small community outside of Lima. They're in kind of west central Ohio. Had the opportunity to stay pretty close to home when I attended the University of Findlay, and I certainly am proud of where I come from. I tell recruits I'm the son of a you know teacher and a guy who had to travel around and work his butt off, and my dad did concert lighting for a long time and now works in a factory, and my mom has been a elementary teacher for gosh 25 years now, and I think they raised me with a very blue collar work ethic, and that has certainly impacted the way that I carry myself professionally, right? And I believe in bringing that hard hat and lunch pail mentality to work every day, and that's really what I ask out of my players as well. I think that challenging these young men to look adversity in the eye and overcome it, and to attack it head on, and be relentless about what they want to achieve.
For sure. What's like the best advice you've given to the men on the field that you coach?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I'd say this. I think just having the understanding that you know you can do everything right, and the results may not be what you want, right? And when that kind of adversity happens, that can be a very that can be very hard to deal with, right? You feel like your process, you did everything that it took for you to be successful, and hey, this time it just didn't work out, right? Having that mental toughness and that fortitude to go ahead and pick yourself back up off the ground, right, and to show up to work the next day, and to start that whole process over again, and we go try again next week, right? I think just having that relentless attitude, that relentless mindset, that's something that certainly carries you a lot further than just the football field. Here at Tiffin University, we talk about the traits of the dragon being having low ego, right? Being tough, being dependable, loving football. Those four things, to me, they certainly apply in football and in the 4 year scope of things. But I really believe that those same traits, right, those are what will carry our young men on for the duration of their lives. I think whether it's as being a husband or a father, whether it comes to their goal of financial security, right, their ability to turn the page when someday football does end for them. Those are all traits that they certainly can carry with them for the rest of their lives. And to me, that's the neatest part about being a coach. Do I love the X's and the O's of it all? Yeah, sure, right. But really, really, when you look at coaches, man, we do this because we're passionate about building young men. Not just the schematics of it all, right? That's just a bonus that I get to come to work every day and talk ball, right? Really, my goal is to develop these men as leaders, as positive role models, as mentors, as to be as strong as they can possibly be in whatever they want to do with their lives.
Now, with your few years there, have you seen like significantly great leaders outcome that you've been coaching?
Yeah, for sure, man. We've had some success, right? We've uh, as things stand right now, we're the only GMAC team that's been able to bring home two conference titles. I think that speaks to the competitiveness of our league. You've had five different conference champions in 6 years. and we've been able to do that twice. And so, we've definitely had some success on the field there. To me, the even better part is seeing our guys walk across the stage after their senior year, right? And they get the degree and they're able to move on into that next stage of life and know what it takes to be a champion, right? And that can look a lot of different ways in the real world. But certain elements of it, right, they carry over, right? You've got to approach things with effort, right? You've got to be a competitor, right? You've got to evaluate what you're doing and continually improve your process. Those things don't just apply to a football field, right? They apply to life. Um, and our challenge to those guys is to see them grow in those areas, right? And for them to be able to leave our program stronger in each of those areas than when they walk through the door. And so to me, in terms of, hey, what kind of success have you had there? I've seen a lot of guys walk out the door, with the ability to give great effort in everything they do, the ability to go and compete for that job, that opportunity, that whatever that is for them, right? To go compete for it, right? To give great effort when they're there, right? And then to constantly learn and to constantly evaluate and to always improve their process, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, so true. When you look at your current Tiffin Dragons roster, do you see a championship team for next year?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited about this team. I'm very very excited about this team. I think this is the first year that really when you look at the time that our staff got here, right? Every player on the roster now was recruited by this staff. And so it's just a little more personal, right? You've sat in every one of these kids' homes and you know their families well. Um, you handpicked them, right? And so I am very much excited about this year. I think we've got a tremendous core of talent that's returning off last year's squad. Obviously, when you lose some guys that were major impact players for you, whether it was Charlie Cleveland, the four-time conference defensive lineman of the year, right? That guy doesn't just get replaced overnight, right? You've got some guys that finished their careers up last year that really, really set the foundation of what we want to be long term here. And so now it's for me exciting to see some young guys getting their opportunity to really step up and to move into that leadership role. I think we have some really tremendously talented young men. I'm excited about our young group of guys. I think we are a good mix of experience, right, with some really talented young guys. So offensively, man, we return our receiving core, and I'm excited to watch those guys go to work every day, right? I'm very proud of the way that they've brought the mindset to continually improve and not be satisfied with where they're at and satisfied with being the number one guy on the depth chart, right? They're constantly pushing each other to improve. I see that day in and day out. We've graduated our starting running back last year. And so getting to see a young man that's played a lot of football for us finally get his opportunity to be the featured back, right? And I'm really excited about the offseason that Devin's having. Up front, we return a ton of experience up front. We will go into this year with the most experienced offensive line that we've had since I've been here. I'm tremendously excited about that group. I think they finished the year on a high note, being the number one pass protecting O line in our conference by a pretty good margin, right? Being one of the top rushing offenses in our league, in a league that runs the ball very, very well, right? And so we return a lot of those guys. We've got a lot of guys with experience. We were able to to play 9 offensive linemen, all played over 2 full games of reps for us a year ago, and we returned 7 of those 9, right? And so that's a group that I'm really excited about. At tight end, we've got some guys that have been around in the program for a while, and they're getting their opportunity to really shine. And they're doing a great job with that. They're attacking it every day. They're competing against each other, right? And then our quarterback position, obviously, that's the heart and soul of the offense. And I believe this. I believe that we have tremendous leadership in that room. We've got talent, right? But they are leaders of men, and that really, at the end of the day, is one of the most important things that I look for out of that position. They're the rock, right? They're the ones that will lead you through the adversity. And as coaches, right, when it's the winter, you're trying to build some of that stress, trying to put that stress on the players to see how they're going to handle it. And our quarterbacks have done a fantastic job leading this offense through it. So I'm really, really excited about this group of guys. And I'll tell you this, we are, as we prepare to head into spring ball, we will be challenged in a big way. Defensively, our defensive coordinator, Tim Bennett, does a fantastic job with these guys. He is an extremely good motivator. He is very dynamic in the way that he teaches young men. I watch these guys buy into him. I watch them want to go to war for that guy. And so I'm very, very excited to get 15 practices against our own guys, because iron sharpens iron, right? You look at it a year ago in the league, we were the number 1 offense in the league because we played against the number 1 defense on third down in the league every day, right? Why were we the best pass protecting offensive line? Because our defensive line led the conference in sacks, and we had to practice against that every day, right? That philosophy that iron sharpens iron is very true, and we get the benefit of going against one of the top defenses in the league and in the country, day in and day out, and that provides us with a big, big benefit.
Wow, that sounds like a great squad you got there. You've been in the coaching business for a while, and after looking you up for a bit, you seem to be pretty well known. To get to the spot you are now, was there ups or was there more downs of getting to where you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been very blessed. I've been very, very blessed to be a part of some really unique experiences, and to be given some opportunities that um, guys that frankly were maybe a little more qualified, were all those things, right? In the coaching profession, networking is a huge part of it. You're constantly trying to build those relationships and get to know people, right? And so I was fortunate that as a relatively young, inexperienced coach, to get that opportunity to go in GA at such a high level, right? Well, part of that stems from my college roommate. His dad was the head coach of the University of Illinois, right? And so a lot of weekends in college, man, we were hanging out in their living room, and so I got to build that network, right? And that presented opportunities for me. There's certainly in the moment things that you look at and you say, man, this is a real challenge, and this is one of those the valleys, right? One of the down moments in that 3-year span, right? 3 staffs in 3 years. Man, every time that a change was made, you felt like, oh, there was that uncertainty, right? There's that anxiety that comes with that. But ultimately, you look back on it and reflect years later, and you say, man, how blessed was I to get to be a part of that, right? And to learn from all those different people, to make all those connections, right? I was so fortunate to work for 3 different offensive coordinators, and every one of them challenged me to get outside of my comfort zone, right? I played offensive line, right? I coached offensive line, and those guys challenged me to look at the big picture, right? To come sit in a quarterback meeting, to come sit in a receiver meeting, right, and to grow myself as a coach overall, not necessarily just as an offensive line coach. So I've been very fortunate to be around great people, to have great experiences. It's challenging, as there's no doubt to it, and um, much like everyone's experience in life, there's ups, there's downs, there's good days, there's bad days. Um, I think that having the mental toughness to know that the bad days will end, right, and a good days around the corner, and to just show up day in and day out, ready to work, and to ultimately be the most dependable person that I can be. Um, and I trust that the good Lord's got a plan for us, and as long as I continue to do a great job day in and day out, and be dependable, be a servant leader, then good things will happen, right?
Amen. But wow, so you have a faith. Tell me about your faith. Do you believe in God?
I do, I do.
Amen.
I've been very fortunate to grow up in a household that, from a religious side of things, yeah, we grew up going to church on Sundays, and to me, I think as I've grown in my faith, I certainly understand that um, I cannot do this on my own. I am not a strong enough individual to outdo God, right? And so I have to humble myself and to um, be willing to lay down the blessings that I've received, and know that those were given, they can be taken, right? I truly believe that the good Lord provides, right, and for those who ask. And so, to me, I believe that um, we are all called to a different avenue, and I believe that ultimately my calling was to be a football coach, and so I was given a platform to lead young men, to lead them in a positive way, and in the way that I think the good Lord would lead them, right? And so I try to do that day in and day out, and know that I have to be mindful of that platform. I have to be mindful of the blessings that I've received, right, and to constantly be thankful for those, give thanks for those things, and know that um, they 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 were given to me, right, and that I am a steward, and I have to be a good steward of my talents, right, and of my resources.
Amen. For sure. For sure. Do you? It sounds like you're pretty well and settled in Tiffin, but you have moved once before. Do you plan on staying in Tiffin, or do you think maybe in the future you could go anywhere else?
Yeah, my wife and I, I'd say this: my wife and I are extremely happy here in Tiffin. We've started a family here in Tiffin. We've got a um, going on 3 month old daughter, so still getting used to the parent thing, and the challenges that come with that. But I know that my little daughter's got 150 big brothers that she gets to look up to, and that's pretty neat for me. And so I'd say this, Isaiah. I believe that. I believe that when you are a good steward with the blessings that you're given, right, then those blessings will multiply. Um, do I have goals and aspirations for my career? Yeah, sure, right. We all do. I truly hope that someday I get the opportunity to be a head coach. That someday I get the opportunity to go and coach that Power Five highest levels, right, and all those things, man. And I believe that it's my responsibility to work on developing myself day in and day out. That someday those dreams could become a reality for me. But I also believe that more importantly, you do a great job where your feet are. And right now, my feet are here in Tiffin, Ohio, and we're certainly not in a hurry for our feet to move. Right, we've got a great support system. Right, whether it's here at the university, right, from our administration. Very few people get the opportunity as an assistant coach to have the athletic director popping into your office just about every day, but here we have that, and Coach Lonnie Allen's our athletic director. He's a man I very much look up to because that's a man that's taken the time to build a relationship with me. I'm very thankful for him. Our senior woman administrator, Kelly Daniel. That's she has been wildly influential to me as a person, right, and not just as a coach, right, off the field too. We've got a really really strong support system here. Obviously, with our roots being over there in Findlay, being close, we've still got a lot of friends that live there in town, and so both my wife and I's family is relatively close to us here, and so we've got a lot of good things going for us, man. And so we are in no hurry to go anywhere. We want to do the best job that we possibly can. Um, Here in Tiffin, Ohio, and who knows what the future will hold from there.
For sure. Sounds like you're in a great position right now. You can't wait to watch you guys next year too. I'm definitely gonna be keeping an eye on the Tiffin Dragons now. But your players, do you like consider? You said 100 earlier. You said 150 big brothers. Do you consider them like more like a family to you than just players you coach?
Definitely, man. I think when when a when a parent and when a family trusts you to look after their guys, right? And you bring in their sons, and they're putting a lot of faith in you, and so we try to build great relationships with our guys. Our head coach says this, and it's very true of our program. We are an effort based program that is relationship driven in everything that we do. And I think that relationship piece is so critical. We spend a lot of time building those relationships with our players, building that trust that comes with the relationship. And when you spend the amount of time around the guys that we spend, um, it becomes personal, man. I love having the guys around, and just today I had a couple of them that were in between classes, and they didn't have anything better to do, and so they wanted to come up, and they're sitting in my office eating lunch, just hanging out, and that's like the highlight of my day. I get to hang around the guys, and find out what the heck they got going on in their life, and all those kind of things. And so it becomes very personal, and you build those strong relationships with them, and I'm very excited to get to spring practice, and for my daughter to get out there, and them to all really get to meet her. A couple of them have seen her around a little bit, but when you got 6 a.m. workouts with the guys, I don't know about getting the baby up that early.
That sounds like a great bond that you guys have there. Great thing going on. So earlier I asked you the best advice that you would give to some of your guys, but like, what's the best advice that you've been given, whether it be from a coach, family, friends, that you would think has impacted you a lot?
Yeah, that's awesome. Similar to the advice that I would give our guys. One of the things that really impacted me was actually from a guy that I GA'd with, and I think that's one of the neat things is that, a lot of times when you think about advice, it kind of feels like it's supposed to come from that person that's maybe of higher standing than you, of older than you, more experienced than you, right? And I think sometimes the best advice can come from the guys that are right there with you in the day to day grind of it all, right? And I was fortunate to be able to GA with some tremendous coaches, and I'll never forget, just being in a room one day, right, and we're grinding it out, and um, just having one of the guys that I worked with kind of look over at me and say like, man, this is awesome. Like we get to do this every day, right? And sometimes when you're in that grind of it, man, you forget where your passions really lie, right? You can get overwhelmed with the man, we've been working 18-hour days, and it just feels like the work's never ending. It just keeps piling up faster than we can get it done. And just to have that reminder, like, hey man, you're going to get through this, right? The good's right around the corner. And really that, whether that's advice or just that little reminder that, hey, this is what we're passionate about, and I think that I think that's always stuck with me because it really has applied to me and my coaching career, right? But I think it can apply to anything, right? Hey, there's days that you don't want to roll out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and go get that bottle for your baby, right? But man, when you remember how much you love that kid and how you do anything for him, it makes it a lot more fun. So I think the best advice I've ever got is to enjoy, to remember your passions, right? Remember why you're doing what you're doing, and just to keep very grounded from that side of things, because it can, man, life can stack up on people quickly. But when you remember where your passions lie, you remember what excites you, you remember what motivates you, right? That's really what it's all about. Getting putting those things on display.
Sure. Wow, that's wow. So coming to a close because we are getting to the 40-minute mark. What would be something you would say to maybe like I'm sure it will be translated different, but probably the same as what you just said to coaches maybe just starting out, coaches maybe starting to coach or assistant coach a high school or something like that.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you asking that. I'm still a young coach, right? I've been doing it for a while now, but I certainly am not foolish enough to think that I got it all figured out. I learned something from people darn near every day. But the advice I would give is number one, no role is too small, right? When you take pride in the responsibility that you're given and you do a great job with the responsibility that you're given, more will come. And right now, if hey, that might be the young coach starting his high school coaching career, and the varsity coach says, hey, I need you to coach the freshman team this year, and man, you were so excited because you wanted to be on the sideline on Friday night, right? Well, hey, go do a great job with the freshman team. Make those kids experience so fun that the next offseason when they're training with the varsity team, they're like those varsity coaches are like, man, that coach did such a good job. Like we've got to have him in our staff, right? Um, or hey, it's my responsibility is to go sweep out the locker room, right? Man, I'm going to sweep that locker room spotless, right? Because now that head coach can trust me. Hey, I asked him to do that small task and he did it with such detail that now I know the big task will be handled with an equal amount of detail, right? That would be my advice there. Another piece of advice I would say is network as much as possible, and never be afraid to get out of your comfort zone, right? And no one is too big, no one is too small. I think that it's actually funny. We were discussing with our players networking, right, and understanding that hey, as the entry level guy, right, you might not get the opportunity to go network with the CEO right now, right? But or in the coaching world, right? You might not get to network with the head coach just yet, right? But when you do a great job and you network with the guys that are kind of in your sphere of influence, right? You never know what those people become, right? You never know 10 years from now that those guys that were in your sphere of influence then aren't the guys that are able to put you on and give you those opportunities, right? Um, the last thing I would say is coach with energy, coach with passion. Um, the kids are smarter than they pick up on that stuff, man. Like, they feel your energy. They know when you're having a bad day. They know when you're having a good day. They know when you're on. They know when you're off. Bring your best every day, right? Coach with passion, coach with energy. And the young men will respond to that.
Sure. It's an awesome mindset to have. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is Tyler Johns. Thank you so much, Tyler, for coming on the interview.
I appreciate you, Isaiah.
I know. Yeah, this is a small podcast, so I appreciate it a lot. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of episode 4. Hope you all have a blessed day. Goodbye.